How's it going, everyone? Well, it seems that the war on cash just keeps moving forward. Now, whether you think it's part conspiracy or maybe part true, or maybe it's all because of China or the WEF or CBDCs are going to take over the world, who knows? But Visa just took some pretty serious steps to try to get rid of cash businesses, or at least cash transactions in small businesses. Now, of course, this makes sense for Visa. Remember, they do make their money from the fees that they charge the businesses for their credit card transactions, same as MasterCard, Discovery, etc. And on top of the fees that they get, they want people to use credit cards because, well, high interest rates. They're basically loan sharks. Credit cards are loan sharks, by the way. So for them, cashless just makes sense. It's a business move. It's a strategic, money-making business move. But nonetheless, that does seem a little odd with the whole CBDC movement. I'll tie that in at the end. Some pretty interesting stuff happening. So the credit card giant Visa, they've gone so far to try to get businesses away from cash that they're offering them $10,000, right? Basically a bribe. So the credit card giant has this offer, right? Basically, they're willing to give them, shops and restaurants, a pile of cash to upgrade their payment technology. What does this mean? Well, it's a bribe. In return, the shops and restaurants are not allowed to accept any form of cash. And already the majority of certain generations, obviously the younger generation for the most part, is kind of cashless as it is. But they want to get the businesses, the American businesses, to stop accepting cash. Now, this is not happening to every single business. So if you have a business, don't run out there and try to get 10,000 from Visa. This is only happening to a select number, roughly around 50, so not that many. It's not just here in the United States this is happening. Visa is also doing this in Britain, with some critics going as far as saying this is a war on the elderly as well, because of course they use a lot of cash and even checks. It would put them at a massive disadvantage, especially when they're going to a mom and pop shop or a mom and pop restaurant. And if you really think about it, this could be kind of a monopolizing move by them, essentially killing competition, not just from cash itself, but from other credit cards. A director of a consumer group called Fair Finance, they did accuse Visa of bribing companies, and small businesses to stop the use of cash more quickly. And actually Visa kind of promoted this at first because of the whole C19 stuff. They kind of framed it as going contactless payments. Cash is old school, and old school apparently will give you C19. So coincidentally, it just perfectly benefits them if people start using more and more of the credit card. In a statement released by Visa, they said, "At Visa, we believe you can be anywhere you want to be, and that it should be easy to pay and be paid in more ways than ever before, whether by phone, card, wearable, or other device." That's according to Visa's head of global merchant solutions. 70% of the world, they said. 70% of the world, or more than 5 billion people, connected via mobile device by 2020, and they have an incredible opportunity to educate merchants. Benefits them though. So they see this as an incredible opportunity to educate merchants and consumers alike on the effectiveness of going cashless. Now, apparently this also includes food trucks. Look at that. Not letting anything slip by. Now, over across the pond in England, for that market, Visa's head of global merchant solutions told the Daily Telegraph that the UK is actually a bit further ahead. It's more advanced than the United States when it comes to cashless payments. They said the US is slow when it comes to contactless payments. But anyway, is this a push towards CBDCs? Well, maybe. Probably more of a business strategic move, easy moneymaker for Visa to take upon themselves. But it still comes off as a bribe. That's the problem. All right, well, let's check out this chart by Statista when it comes to central bank digital currencies and the nations that have implemented them. Now, so far, only several small nations and, of course, Nigeria have launched the central bank digital currencies, and several more populous nations, they're on track. They're going to jump on board soon. Now, the Nigeria thing is because it's going to be the third largest and most populous nation in the world in about 10 or 15 years. And they do a lot of business at the moment with cash. So it's a perfect testing ground for other bigger nations. But other examples of places include the Caribbean, actually. The first region that actually implemented CBDCs, Bahamas, Grenada, Dominica, and St. Lucia. The sand dollar of the Bahamas was actually the first central bank digital currency of the world, the whole world, back in 2019. Cleared the way for the adoption, the model used by other nations. And it makes sense. Little tiny country, perfect spot to try this stuff out. Of course, China, famous China of the digital yuan. Oh, it's not going so well for China and the digital yuan. They're trying to force people to use it, but it's just not, it's not getting mass adoption. They do have a solid digital and mobile payment infrastructure that a lot of people would love to emulate because, of course, they produce a lot of tech. So when it comes to Nigeria and China, two heavy cash societies, large parts of their population actually just skipped credit cards, debit cards, and just went straight to digital payments using apps, etc., etc. Now, in developed countries, central banks would just love CBDCs. It makes perfect sense. I mean, imagine the data collection that you can have. But of course, we can't take the Chinese example because they have the whole social credit system. It's tied into their digital yuan. Sketchy stuff, right? If you want to check out the AtlanticCouncil.org, this is like an NGO or nonprofit think tank. They actually have a central bank digital tracker, central bank digital currency tracker. They have a nice collection of data, charts, maps, and it basically runs down, keeps track of all the countries and the stages of developments that it's in. So it is pretty interesting. And as you can see, the majority of countries are on track, essentially, to implement somehow CBDCs. You can choose over here on the top left. For example, I just chose places where it was canceled. CBDCs were canceled. So across the West, it is either in development or in a pilot. This stuff is coming. One way or another, they're going to try to push it. Now, the AtlanticCouncil.org, they have a pretty nice article on the Chinese surveillance ecosystem and the global spread of its tools. Dragon just swallowing Africa. It certainly is when it comes to minerals, that's for sure. I mean, the pilot phase is already in Russia, Thailand, Malaysia, South Korea, Sweden, UAE, Saudi Arabia. Who's going to do a proper launch soon? Because apparently the digital euro is coming. The pilot is scheduled to come out this year, 2023. Is this all good? Maybe it's all bad. I don't know, but it is coming. In the end, I'm not sure that Visa's basically looking out for itself has anything to do with CBDCs. but it all leads to the same road. It all leads to exactly the same outcome, which is no cash. And everything will be monitored. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how far they get this year. All right, guys, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Smash a like if you haven't. Please do subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.
Can anybody out there hear me?